Mark and Dan started the exact same job on the exact same day for the exact same paycheck. Same salary every year, same raises, same bonuses. On paper, they were financial twins. But 30 years later, one of them retired a millionaire, free to do whatever he wanted, and the other was still clocking in every morning, quietly terrified of opening his bank account. Here's the unsettling part, the part that should make you lean in. The one who ended up rich never earned a single dollar more than the other. No secret inheritance, no lottery ticket, no genius stock pick. The entire difference came down to a handful of small, almost invisible choices, the kind of choices you are probably making or not making right now without even noticing. Let me show you exactly how this happened, step by step, because once you see this pattern, I promise you cannot unsee it, and you'll start spotting it everywhere in your own life. Let's meet our two friends properly. Mark is the guy everyone loves. The day his first paycheck hit, he leased a brand new car with the big engine and the leather seats. He upgraded to the nicer apartment downtown. Nice watch, newest phone every year, dinners out 4 nights a week. From the outside, Mark looked like the most successful person in the room. Dan? Dan was almost boring. He drove a clean, reliable used car he paid for outright. He found a modest apartment with a roommate for the first few years. He still went out, still had fun, but he quietly set up one thing Mark never did. An automatic transfer that moved a slice of every paycheck into investments before he could spend it. Same income, two completely different machines running underneath. For the first couple of years, nothing dramatic happened, and that's exactly why this trap is so dangerous. Mark was clearly winning. He had the lifestyle, the photos, the envy. Dan's investment account was small and unimpressive, growing slowly in the background where nobody could see it. If you froze the story right here, everyone would want to be Mark. Picture them at a party at year 3. Mark pulls up in the new car. Everyone turns to look. Dan pulls up in the same used car he's had the whole time, and nobody notices. In that exact moment, Mark feels rich and Dan feels invisible. But underneath the surface, Dan's money had quietly started doing something Mark's money never could. It began earning money on its own. Every dollar Dan invested was now a tiny worker, going out and earning more dollars, which then went out and earned even more. His army of dollar workers was small for now, but it was growing every single month, and crucially, it never slept and never took a day off. Mark's dollars, meanwhile, left his account the moment they arrived and never came back. He wasn't building an army. He was renting a lifestyle, and the rent was due again every month, forever. Now let's fast forward and watch the gap explode. Around year 10, something quietly flips. Dan's account isn't growing mainly from his monthly deposits anymore. It's growing from its own past growth. This is compounding, and it is the closest thing to magic in all of personal finance. The returns start earning returns. The curve stops looking like a gentle hill and starts bending upward like a rocket. Mark, at year 10, is in a strange spot. He earns a great salary, but he has almost nothing saved because every raise he ever got was immediately swallowed by a bigger lifestyle. A nicer car, a bigger apartment. The treadmill just got faster. He's running harder than ever and standing in exactly the same place. Now I want to show you the single most satisfying moment in this entire story, the one that almost nobody sees coming. Somewhere around year 20, Dan crosses an invisible line. Up until this point, most of his wealth came from his own contributions, the money he chose not to spend. But at the crossover, that flips completely. From here on, his account grows more each year from its own returns than from anything he adds himself. Read that again. His money is now out-earning his own savings. He could stop contributing entirely, never add another cent, and the snowball would keep rolling downhill on its own, getting bigger every year. This is the exact moment a saver quietly turns into an investor, and then into someone who is genuinely wealthy. Mark never gets anywhere near this line, because Mark never started rolling the snowball in the first place. You can't compound nothing. What happened to Mark has a name: lifestyle creep. Every time his income went up, his spending went up to match it, so he never actually got ahead. This is the quiet trap that trains people in great-paying jobs to stay broke for their entire lives. And here's the brutal math behind it. Because Mark never invested, he didn't just miss out on the money he could have saved. He missed out on everything that money would have earned, and everything those earnings would have earned for 30 straight years. Economists have a phrase for that lost future growth: Opportunity cost. Mark's daily luxuries didn't just cost him their price tag. They cost him the entire fortune that money could have quietly become. So let's jump to the finish line, 30 years in, and add it all up, because this is the part that's genuinely satisfying. Dan, the boring one, by consistently investing a sensible slice of that same ordinary paycheck and simply leaving it alone, has built a portfolio worth well over $1 million. Sit with that number. Same salary as Mark, never a dollar more, and he's a millionaire. He can walk away from work whenever he wants. His money now earns more in a single good year than his job ever paid him in that year, which means his dollar army now out-earns him. He has crossed the line where he works because he wants to, not because he has to. Now look over at Mark. Same career, same lifetime earnings, same 30 years of paychecks. But Mark is approaching retirement with almost nothing saved, staring down the frightening reality of working a decade longer than he ever planned, because he has no choice. The cruel twist is that Mark spent 30 years feeling richer than Dan the entire way, right up until the moment it mattered most. Same paycheck, same 30 years. One quietly built a machine that now works for him, while the other spent 3 decades feeding a machine that gave nothing back. That contrast right there is the entire lesson. Now, right about here, a lot of people push back with a fair question. They say, doesn't Mark deserve to enjoy his money? Isn't Dan just depriving himself for decades to die with a big number in an account? And that's worth answering honestly. The point of this story was never that you should live like a hermit and enjoy nothing. Dan didn't. He still went out, still took trips, still had a life. The difference is that Dan paid his future self first, automatically, and then enjoyed whatever was left, while Mark paid everyone except his future self and left nothing behind. Dan bought something Mark never did: freedom. The freedom to walk away from a bad boss, to weather an emergency without panic, to choose how he spends his one and only life. That, it turns out, is the most expensive luxury of all, and the boring guy was the only one who could afford it. Now here's why this actually matters for you, watching right now. The good news buried in this story is that Dan was not special. He wasn't smarter, he didn't earn more, and he didn't pick magic stocks. He simply automated one boring decision and then got out of his own way for a very long time. The two levers that decided everything were within his control the whole time, and they're within yours too. How much of each paycheck you keep, and how early you start letting it grow. Notice what is not on that list. Not a 6-figure salary, not perfect timing, not picking the next big company. Those things barely move the needle compared to the 2 simple habits Dan repeated for 30 years. And here's the part people find hardest to accept. The most powerful ingredient in Dan's entire fortune wasn't money at all. It was time. Time is the one resource you cannot earn more of later, no matter how rich you become, which is why starting small today beats starting big someday. The single most powerful day to plant this tree was years ago. The second most powerful day is today. So the real question this story leaves you with is simple. Right now, are you building Dan's machine, or are you feeding Mark's treadmill? If this made the choice click for you, subscribe, because next week we're breaking down exactly how much of each paycheck someone like Dan actually sets aside, with real numbers you can follow. And one important note, this video is general education, not financial advice, so always do your own research for your own situation.